that's just naturally, none of us are going to put the same effort into it.
Yeah, and I really want to honor the group, because for me it's very important. I'm the type of person, do to others what you'd like, that others would do to yourself. So I think I would probably be a little bit annoyed. And other thing is, if we were to have about 20 ladies attending and we have 13 facilitators, I think that's quite a lot. And I would be willing to not participate on this one, leave it for another time, to give, everyone else, leave everyone else a chance to do whatever, because I think there's quite a few of us that do what I do, that do the healing, the guided meditation kind of thing. So it could even become a little bit repetitive for the participants as well. Because
no one talks about
amazing. Sorry.
Okay.
No one talks about ayahuasca as you do.
We should facilitate that. I will one day, hopefully. Well, what I was thinking, you were on the last meeting, cacao. I've never done cacao before, and I know that you met a Brazilian that does cacao, haven't you, Tammy? At the Conscious Leaders.
Who?
Last time we went to Conscious Leaders, I saw you chatting to a Brazilian. She actually does cacao ceremonies.
Camilla. Yep.
Did she tell you that?
Yes.
Yeah. I even thought about her. I was like, if you ladies really wanted, if I do not participate and you ladies really wanted a cacao person, I even thought about that.
So if you don't participate, we won't be getting anyone else that's not a facilitator, because we've already got, I think, too many. And this retreat was designed for the WeFest facilitators. So it's not about cacao. It's about us as facilitators coming together to run a retreat. So if you don't get involved, that's fine. We don't need to do cacao. It was almost just through our conversations. It's something you wanted to do, and it could be the cool thing that you did. So we would just replace it and do something else in the evenings. Yeah, so that would just be up to you to feel into whether this is for you or not. Because, yeah, we've got 13 places that are available, but, yeah, there's not all of us that have confirmed or said we want to. So there'll be more space and time for everybody else to be there. And yes, there won't be people necessarily facilitating and being there for the full 2 days as well. So it's just making sure that everyone's okay with what everyone does. So no one gets, I guess, off board or offside, because it's never going to be equal. I think that's why in the end with the WeFest stuff, I opened it up to everyone, and then I thought, well, someone's got to manage, or someone's got to lead, or someone's got to do everything, because it's going to fall back on someone anyway, which I'm totally happy to take full responsibility for this retreat. And which, really at the end of the day, what else do we have to do besides show up on the day? I've put together the Facebook event. I'm sharing it and posting it everywhere that I see pop up. We've got 3 tickets sold without having to really do too much. What else do we really need to be doing besides, I guess, just logistically, where do we all slot in? What are we actually doing on the 2 days? And just whatever profits there could be, it might not be much, but I still would like to divide it up equally. Just making sure that everyone is happy with that and it feels right. This is just a new world, and this could bring up a lot of money stuff for a lot of people. That's why I really just wanted to talk it out. Because, yeah, it won't be equal. Like the time I spend, the time Kim spends, the time Ruby spends, none of it's going to be equal. Are we all okay with that? I guess at the end of the day, are we here just putting in the energy that we want to and the time that we want to, or will this trigger some stuff for us?
Yeah, I think I got a little bit stressed about it because of time. And if I do cacao, it will be time consuming. You have to buy the chocolate, prepare the chocolate. I have to look it up. It would, and you have to do it on the day as well, which is not much, but just for me, it's a little bit overwhelming having to organize all of that while, I'm a little bit short for time. I think that's what came up for me. And I also, I think that was it. Sorry, I'm talking too much. I want to hear what the other ladies
You're fine. You're fine.
Well, it's a kid-free weekend for me, and I've always had a vision of doing a retreat and, coordinating it with other people. So I'll be in and helping as much as I can, especially having someone like you on my side, me, Tammy, giving me the insights. And so for me, yes, the money's awesome as a single mom, every cent matters, but at the end of the day, what I'm going to learn and, the confidence and all that I'll get from it, I think will be a bit more valuable than the money anyway. So, that's sort of where I am with this journey. Whatever I can get and put in my pocket, awesome, because it's going to allow that growth. But at the same time, that's not what it's about for me. It's whether I'm learning from you girls, even on the day. So I'll be there as much as I can be, pretty much from start to finish, Tam. And I have asked that friend of mine too, and she sounds like she's pretty keen if we want that extra helper, just because she'll be there just to learn as well. So like I said, it's just me working around the kids on the other Zooms and stuff like that. I'll drop in and out, or might be quiet, but I'll do my best. The only thing I was just thinking is that I think, like, what I do is, like what Rubia was saying before, a lot of what I do is very similar to a lot of what other women do. I've seen on the day, almost everything anyone shared up there, I can share. I've done my diet and nutrition thing. I've done, energy healing. I can do guided meditation. So I do chakra stuff. So I think that's the big thing, is watching that we're not giving too much the same thing, or whether someone's doing that and we can add to that, so I think, and make something bigger and better. That's my only thing. I don't want to get there and go, oh shit, she's doing the same thing, and then be sidelined. Oh my God, what am I going to do now? So I think having that little bit of a schedule will probably make me more comfortable. I guess that's because I'm an organized person. Maybe I need to get out of that. So, I don't know.
That's good. Yeah, we do need to have that. Yeah, essentially what we're all doing. Like, what are our times and places, and we can be a little bit more intuitive on the day if we need to, but essentially we do need to know, I guess, our places, because all of us are quite versatile and flexible and have some similarities. So yeah, that will be, I guess, maybe the next conversation of, okay, so everyone has said there's 8 of us that are definite. All right, where do we slot in? What are we doing? This conversation, I guess it was more of a, well, shit, it's happening. We've got 3 tickets sold. Oh my God, we probably need to talk about this. And the messy stuff, like the money stuff, Sonia even said, well, you've got to pay tax. I was like, fuck, I haven't even thought about this shit. So I need to be learning this stuff kind of as I go as well, because I've just earned money and kept it. I haven't then offered it to anybody else, so this is very different in terms of, how do I do this? How do I manage it? You'll have to invoice me for whatever it works out to be and stuff like that. But it probably won't be much. When we did the sums, we'd still have to sell quite a few tickets for us to get really anything. When she started to work it out with me, and I was like, oh, that's a shame. I would have loved to have all come away with, besides the experience, which is really what we're all kind of connected with anyway. But how cool would it be to get paid to do it as well? I thought that was just going to be a really beautiful added extra, because of all the time and energy we're all putting into everything that we do. That to me is this element where there is some point we still do need to be earning money and receiving money for the time and effort we put into stuff. This just might be like another, like, trial and error, because this is new. We've all come together. We're all creating a retreat. How does this even work? There's going to be the same with the event. There's going to be stuff that we'll be like, that was great, or, oh God, we need to do this better next time. So I think we're all going to be working this out together. This is very new for all of us. It's not going to be an experience that we've all done a retreat with a group of 13 people before and we know what we're doing. So this is another guinea pig kind of rollout for us all. So I appreciate everyone sharing with, their thoughts, their feelings, what comes up for them, whether it's triggers, whether it's fears. If you've got a great idea, I'm just quite open at this point. So thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to help where possible leading up to the event, to offer some guidance and shifting of the language and the thoughts that we have that I feel can be limiting our success. And I think there's a couple of things that I've heard leading up to the event on Sunday, and that I think if we were to shift our wording and our thinking, it can be bigger than we I think we're limiting our thinking by the words and by the fear of, well, what if 2 people turn up? Well, you know, the right people will be there on the day. And I think that's validating our fear of what if nobody turns up, as opposed to shifting our wording to be saying, you know what, this is going to be awesome. And if every one of us are visualizing an event where you've got lots of people there, then it's going to happen in a easier way, and we will get lots of people there. So I'd just like to offer, I guess, a little bit of my mindset knowledge to be able to try and help others to see if we can lift that. Because the reality is everything first begins in the imagination, everything. And so if we all spend 5 minutes each day, if you want to amplify it, twice a day, visualizing a retreat where there's, I don't know, what's the maximum that you want? But if we're all visualizing that maximum, if we're all visualizing it connecting and it working really well, then it will. And through that visualization, the next step will be presented. And I appreciate we all meditate and understand that, yeah, things will just happen. But I think if we're careful with our words and our thoughts, we'll be able to move it forward a little bit further as well.
Thank you. You can catch us with those wordings then, please.
Yeah.
And the language when it comes up.
Yeah.
I think I feel a really good energy with this event when I see the event like on Facebook. There's this attraction about it, and no wonder why. You know, you've already had 3 people that bought the ticket, and the ladies that won the tickets were so happy. How many people can we fit in that house? You know?
I was thinking 25 people because there's already like 13 of us, I guess. So my number was 25.
Is that including the 13 or excluding the 13?
Excluding.
Okay.
But I think that I don't think the 13 facilitators will be there, will they?
I don't think so. No, I just haven't heard from everybody, so I really don't know. I opened it up. There is availability in the schedule when I popped in times and everything. If we add every single one of us, which was cool. I don't think we will, but I don't know.
And look, I'm sure.
But we also there time, all of us.
Say that again.
Even though if let's say that there was 13 of us, we won't be there the whole time, both days. So you wouldn't have the total of 13 all the time anyway, would you?
Not necessarily. No. Yeah. So it depends on everybody. Most people I've spoken to were wanting to be there all day because essentially we're there for our section, but we're there to support the group that whole time anyway. So most of us, it was for us to be there for the full 2 days because then we get to experience each other's stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I've heard there might be 1 or 2 that just can't be there the whole time.
Okay. I think that's fair enough what you said, that everybody's there. And it's one of the reasons that was making me a little bit like, oh, I feel like I'm not being in alignment with everyone by committing to being there the whole time.
And can I just ask, what is the time? Like, what are we looking at as the time this is running from?
I have it right here.
8 till 8.
Did we, 9 till 8 the first day and then till 7 the second day?
Yeah.
Like full days. I've got arrival from 8:30 till close at 8 p.m. the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And then 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. the second day. And it doesn't have to be that long. If we had it that long and we had all 13 facilitators, then everyone gets their place. But obviously there's room for movement and all of that.
And I was going to say that everyone, I shouldn't say that. A number of us could do multiple sessions.
Totally.
I know I could easily do a couple.
Yeah. totally.
More easily if we have a microphone that's a headset one, you know.
Of
Just
course. Don't you worry about that.
Or have a stunt double partner that holds it for you.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right, you
We'll
do
have
the
that.
talking and I'll do the chopping of the food.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think we need a microphone in a house, but we'll
No,
get you
I'm just
one.
kidding. I'm just
She's just stirring you.
I know.
funny. So in my opinion, in relation to the money side of it, I would like to come along for the experience, and if it doesn't cost me anything, then that's a bonus. And if I do get something financial out of it, then that's an added bonus. But for me to be a part of it is probably enough recompense for me at this point in time. I too have had a vision that retreats was on the agenda for me at some point. So this is just all flowing really nicely. And if there is money at the end, I think I would almost be happy to say, okay, let's just pool it for the next, depending on what the value is. I mean, if you say to me, it's $20, I'm going to say, pool it for the next one. But yeah, so I guess it depends what the value is to a certain degree.
Okay, cool. And that will also be another conversation when we get to the day, really. I guess it's the food that will still have to be bought that morning,
that's
or the
right.
day before, and that, unless we've got someone that really knows how much that is, really we're kind of winging it. There's a few.
Well, I could probably do a costing on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
And even if you put a, if you put a per head cost on it, even from a catering perspective. So if I take my mind back to catering for corporate days where we were doing lunches, it's around about $25 per person. So.
Cool. Okay. And we'll know how many people we have by then. So that'll help us work that out. But yeah, exactly. There's roving, is that the word? Or evolving costs. Every time there's someone else coming in, it's going to keep shifting and changing.
And it also depends on what you want to have for food, because you want to keep it light because you don't want it too heavy for the work they're going to be doing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Light and fresh.
Yeah. Nola and I will go to the markets and have fun, and we'll see you at lunchtime. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, no, we'll get, we don't, it doesn't need to be extravagant.
No.
I don't think it needs to be nice. It needs to be well presented.
I was going to say it's in the presentation.
Yeah, but it doesn't need to, we don't need to spend $1 million.
No, I don't think we need to spend much. I think we can keep this quite cost effective, because essentially what would we need to be bringing in? It's not like the event where we've got all this stuff, what stuff do we actually need?
And so then I'm now thinking, if we're going to have 25 people, do we have cutlery and cups and things like that for 25 people?
That's a good question.
If not, I can bring some from home. Let's not order anything in. Let's not go buy anything.
No.
Let's not throw anything out. Let's be environmentally friendly.
Yeah, perfect. Good question and good answer.
Yeah.
And Kim, on the mindfulness and the visioning thing, yes, it works. So everyone needs to do it. You need to envision yourself in the room with those people and how you're feeling in the room with those people and what it looks like. And because I did that for a trip that I wanted to do to Kenya, and I got to go. So it works.
And it's about really tapping into that feeling, because at the end of the day, that feeling is what generates the universal energy. So
Totally
get really clear on it. And maybe we, leading up to the event, maybe we do some Zoom visualization 15-20 minute sessions where, whoever's coming, jump on board, let's sit and we'll do a guided visualization. And it could be one person's vision. It could be do a different person's vision each time. I mean, at the end of the day, that vision is still going to be a retreat in the property with all of us facilitating with lots of people. So I think the more that we do that as a group, then that's that energetic flow as well.
Perfect. I love it. Any other thoughts?
On the list. Any other thoughts?
I'm still working out the venue cost. I talked to Sonia last night about a few different things, and she thinks it should be more than just like the 2-day cost for the venue, because if I ran like a 5-day retreat there, it kind of counts out that weekend. So she sort of gave me a few things to think about. I did put the whole, like in the spreadsheet, I just put the whole week's rent just so there's like the maximum there to work on.
Good idea.
But I haven't nailed that down yet, because this again is like the first example that I'm also using for all these other people that wanting to run retreats while I'm at this house. So I've sort of been thinking, if I get this sorted, it's my template, it's my example of, okay, well, this is kind of some, not ground rules, but like structures and foundations of how this will work optimally for everyone. So I'm still sort of playing with that as well. And I was waiting for my cleaner to get back to me, because she would be coming in like the day before and the day after. Because I'm renting this property, I'm pretty, I want it to be clean, whatever the word is. So anyone that's coming in for an event or whatever, there will be like the cleaning cost for before and after. Because we're not doing sleeping, like it's not going to be that hard. And what we do ourselves before and after, I think will be probably enough. But I've asked her to give me a quote. She's pretty cheap and she's pretty amazing. So I'm just waiting for her to come back to me for that as well, to add into our costs. The venue is going to be the biggest cost. I have no idea what food would cost. Like, that's out of my mind at all. I have no clue of where that would even go. But again, you know, if we've got 5 people, if we've got 25 people, it's going to be very different. So are you basing on $25 per head with your calculator right now, Kim?
$6.25.
For 25 people?
Yeah.
Per day?
Yes, it doesn't count the facilitators though.
Okay.
So hold on, let me just recalculate that. So that's $9.50. So I would say $1,200 has just come to my mind for food.
Okay.
So factor that into your little spreadsheet as it stands at the moment.
Okay, I'll add it in. The only other thing with the cacao is we actually advertised it. So if people have bought tickets because of the cacao, we probably
I can do that. We can organise that.
Okay.
I've got cacao on the way to me at the moment.
Huh.
So when it arrives, I can try it and let you know. But no, it is ceremonial cacao, and we can do that. If Rubia wants to do it, then it's there and she can do that, and if not, then that's okay. We'll find a way. Yeah,
cool.
Work it out.
Cool. And then just like we said, the journals really would be like our gift that I've also put in that Facebook event. That
I've started sourcing them prices. I'm still going.
Nice.
And did we want to do pens as well? Did we say pens as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Pens are easy.
You just get a bulk pack of pens.
Yeah.
Nothing special.
And tissues, which will be fine. We'll get them on special.
Yeah, exactly.
That was our main costs.
Mm-hmm.
You did write down insurance.
Yes. I imagine we'll need to have some from a location perspective and a people being there on the property perspective. So insurance from the perspective of the property and insurance from the perspective of personal injury.
Totally. Okay, I'll have a look at
And then you also want to do a a disclaimer again for the retreat, including, you know, injuries, intolerances of food consumption. You enter at your own risk, you eat at your own risk, kind of whatever those legality terms would
Sneeze at your own risk.
So yeah, that's basically it. And if you want soft tissues, bring your own. Otherwise, there's a leaf outside. No, I'm just kidding. Just basically absolving responsibility. You know, like when you go to those events run by the likes of Tony Robbins, and you know, you enter at your own risk, and whatever emotional shit you go through, you don't hold them accountable for any of it. And
Got it.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Anything else?
I think again, what would be good, I think, is those the boards that we did at the event on Sunday. You know, writing out your dreams, your fears, and I think that's quite a good idea. I liked that. I don't know whether people.
Yeah, because now there are like actual real life. That's like market research,
right? Because now what you've got is your pain points and benefits right there, and that's where it needs to be promoted. You're talking to their pain points and you're talking to the benefits. What are the benefits that they're going to get? And so that's absolutely market research right there, using their words that you can now use to promote. Are you feeling? Have you ever felt? Do you know anyone that feels? Blah, blah, blah. This event will come along and take you on a journey to have you feeling blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's all quite similar too. I'm looking at it literally here. Shit's bright. But
I know. I noticed when I was there looking at it, my whole eyes shifted the way that they saw colour. And when I looked away from the pink, I had to, oh my God, what is going on? Oh, it took my eyes probably about 15 seconds to readjust. It was phenomenal.
So I did that on purpose. No, I didn't. But I'm sure it's healthy for all of us to get a bit of a
pink hit.
A shift. But the words are just, they're all very similar. Like it's, people's pain points are pretty similar. We all have the same stuff. Yeah, it was quite interesting how much the same stuff kept coming up. So I'm going to run a few workshops on it as well, just to help those specifics leading into events then.
And so then can we do up a table, and what I'm thinking is then for us to benefit from that market research as well, can we do up a table, the 3 tables with those words? Because then, for example, I can use some of those words in my marketing material.
Sure.
For what I do, as I'm sure the others can as well.
Yeah, I'll do it up and I'll stick it in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I'll take a photo of the pink, but you probably won't be able to read the writing.
Look, I was going to offer just take a photo of it and I'll set it up, but then that was exactly my thoughts as well. So.
All good. 20 words on there, but 5 things are.
Water. Do we want to do tap water, filtered water? Are we going to get water in?
I will have my high vibe alkaline water with me there.
Okay.
So I will just make sure there's some ordered for that day as well, like the dispenser stuff.
Okay.
I don't want to give out tap water.
No, I don't want to drink tap water.
No, I don't want anyone to ever drink tap water. So that will be
a cost that needs to be on the list as well.
Let me add that in.
And just while you're talking about the disclaimers before, I was thinking you might want to get them to sign something to sort of for photos or, you know, video.
Yeah, photo release.
You know, like, so you can actually do that and release those as well.
Can that just go on the same document? You enter and these are all the things that you're agreeing to?
Yeah. So
you just have another paragraph with an extra signature underneath. So it's a separate signature, but same page sort of thing.
That's what I did up for these. It said that stuff in my own words.
Nice work.
And at the end it says, please take responsibility for your experiences. Smiley face.
Nice.
It's hard to word without sounding like a bitch with some of this stuff. Like with this
I think I've got some somewhere that I'll
Oh,
try and.
nice.
It's just come to me. I don't know why I didn't think of it earlier.
I've got some
Disclaimer
too.
text. And if we all combine the text that we've got, we can then massage it to be what we want it to be.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Nice. Any other concerns or things we need to iron out at this point? We will get more specific when I post this recording into the group and say, okay, everyone slot in your name in a time with something that you'd like to do on the day. We can start nutting out where we slot in, what we're all going to do, and then get more, I guess, practical in terms of where are we slotting in, what are we doing. But I'd just like to see how many people will actually wanting to facilitate in the first place.
And then do we want to put a date on it? If you don't respond by this date, then
You cut. Yeah.
you're out.
Yes. What? So it's in a month today.
Because I think we will need the commitment to be able to have people, so that we know who's in and who's like what time slots we need to. And don't
who's
get me wrong,
doing what.
I have no doubt that I could probably fill a whole day, but you know, as could Rubia talking about ayahuasca.
Where is she?
I think you need to drop that one.
But yeah, we need to know so that we can split out.
Yeah. So what kind of time frame do you think?
Next week.
Yeah.
Well, I think everyone knows.
Well, because
that
there's
it's
too much.
happening.
There's a lot to do and organise, I think,
And everyone knows
amongst
it's
our
happening.
own lives. So a week's plenty, isn't it?
Yep.
And like I say, everyone knows that it's happening, so they've had a chance to think about whether they want to be a part of it or not. So another week is saying, okay, this is your bonus time.
Mm.
You already know about it. We talked about it before. You know, we've talked about it for 2.5 weeks now.
Yeah. All right, I'll do it next Friday, the 28th, cut off.
Yeah, I think.
So I've
Step
just
up
put
or
in.
step out? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that wasn't very nice.
I've put. Yeah. Anyway, I'll put the schedule up again for everyone so they can have a look, and I've just put in session, like 60-minute session, and we can just be adding in. It's like an editable spreadsheet.
And so then do we want to do 45-minute sessions? The reason I say that is that's going to give people time to then, I think 60 minutes might be a bit too much.
Okay.
45?
We really do have plenty of time. Like there's big breaks I've allocated. There's time for a 60-minute session, a 90-minute session. There is a lot of time and a lot of breaks in there, so we can flow a bit freely, even if all 13 of us actually want to facilitate.
Okay.
But then if you don't have the full 13 there and people doing bits of, you could do the hour blocks, and when there's a 90-minute, someone else can just take a 30-minute doing something. Like I could do a 30-minute something easy.
Yeah.
In 3 different places that is
Like what, standing on your head in that corner and standing on your leg in that corner.
Yeah, you're funny. That, you know, it's all similar kind of work, but it doesn't have to be delivered in, say, an hour and a half, because maybe it might be too much to do it that way.
Yeah, that's right.
Totally.
So in 3 different blocks might be better. Whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we'll start nutting out now. Like, who feels into, like, the vision of them being there on the day? Do you see yourself doing something in the morning, in the afternoon? Do you see yourself presenting a healing? Like, that's where we'll start to really just nut out what do we feel essentially individually, and then how we all slot in. And I'll put up that spreadsheet so you can just feel into the times that are allocated now, and then we can just start to define them and get more clear on all of it. But yeah, if you've got an hour session and you think, well, I want to break it up, give them 15 minutes to journal, give them, you know, up to you. It'll just slot in. No problem.
Okay.
What else?
I think Kelly's got something that she wants to say.
Do I now? I'm just sitting here thinking about what I want to offer on the day. Like I can, because I run workshops anyway, and I kind of go for 5 hours straight of talking. So I got so much stuff, and then do other things as well. So I'm like, oh yeah, I definitely can throw an hour in there. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how long that would take. And anyway,
The trick is to narrow down your 5 hours to one.
Yeah, I can't do that.
You know,
so
when
I'm
you've
just
got
gonna
that
break
much
it.
content and you got to get it down to that much time, which one do you
Yeah.
pick?
Yeah, I think in some things like we want interactive stuff as well, like, you know, where people, as you said, it's that actually connecting into themselves. So I'm like, yeah, interactive stuff, you know, games that make people feel their emotions, or I don't know, like I find a lot of people love that sort of stuff that and allows them to connect with others there on the day. So, you know, you come into these things and, you know, it takes a little while for people to, you know, feel comfortable amongst everyone. But, you know, once you get people talking and mingling and that kind of thing, like I do in mine, you know, games for feeling. And even then, like on the weekend, people love seeing the chakras and actually seeing how they can clear themselves and actually seeing what's going on and how much it does relate to them in their lives, even after they've done that chakra meditation. So I think that interactive stuff's really cool, but it's like, how long does it take with how many different people? Like for me, it's like, okay, if I'm going to put it in there, if there's 25 people, you know, to do a chakra thing, it'd take a shitload of time.
Yeah.
Mm.
I just had a thought.
For wake up time.
What about, do you want to just mute Nola? What about doing some art therapy, like a block of time of painting?
Can we do paint in the house?
Could you do it outside? You could do it inside. Just lay some old sheets and stuff on the floor. And no,
we do
you're not liking that, are you?
No, I don't like that. I've paid a bond for this place. I'd like to keep it a little bit safer.
Okay, right you are.
Unless we use the there's paint that you can wash off. What's that stuff?
Washable paint.
That stuff.
I don't know. I just thought it was a good idea. The reason being, and I don't know the answer because I only painted for the first time a couple of months ago. So I just know that it was quite an interesting experience for me to not have done that before, to have really stepped outside and allowed myself to intuitively, so it was intuitive art, I think it was, if I remember correctly. So there was meditation done before, and then there was paint that you chose and then just painted on an A3, no, it must have been an A2 piece of paper. And
it might cost more to have those kind of things there. The added extra, it would be cool. And the more, everything has to be interactive, like especially on a retreat, more so than what we did at the event, because people do need to feel whatever it is that they need to feel to be bringing up stuff or be aware of, or to shift or to experience anything hands-on. If there is any more arty kind of things that we can do, I guess it's just, if we need supplies, it's just going to add to our costs, but that depends on the person that wants to facilitate it. Really, do we want to spend a moment and just drop in to see what we can come up with? And that way, anyone watching this replay, we all get a chance to just have a moment to really feel into how do we picture ourselves showing up on the day. Do we want to do that now?
Yep, I'm in.
Let's close our eyes. And just take a few breaths. And just imagine walking through this house in the morning, setting up, connecting with one another. And just walk through the first day and see if there's any time or space or visuals that come through for you on what you'd like to deliver or showcase, and if there's any time frames that's coming up for you as well. And do so for the second day. If you don't connect in with anything on the first day, allow yourself to move through and just capture any visions or feelings about where you'd like to position yourself throughout the 2 days. And feel free to come back once it's clear. Let me know what you've got.
Well, I kind of felt like mine was definitely an early well, not morning, but early in the day type thing. So yeah, before lunch. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I'm facilitating yet, though. So
Either day.
probably on the Saturday is actually what I felt.
Oh. Okay, I'm just adding this in. Any feeling or anything that came with it to give you an indication of what you might want to do?
The emotional stuff definitely comes along with what I do. A lot of that, it seems to be one of my biggest things. But you said everyone loves that chakra thing as well. So I don't know how you'd have to kind of run into that as well. Like I said, so sharing a bit about it. So it just depends on how that goes. I don't know if that would work early in the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah. So I can always do more than one if there's spaces as well.
Okay. I'll ask the other ladies, but do you want to just connect in to feel if it's the emotional release stuff? If we put you in, say, 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, do you get any other visions? Like I'll leave you to feel into it to see what comes up for a group of, let's say, 25, if that's what you see. And I'll come back to see if you've got anything after that. Anybody else?
Is there any meditations running around there as well? Because, you know, the meditations, I guess, can, you know, whether you're using them in contribute, you know, whether I'm doing the meditation or just doing that part and the meditation flows in from that afterwards, you know what I mean? Because that kind of thing, I always use meditations, and I can use so many different types of ones, you know, whether they're feeling going in within themselves and actually connecting to their own intuition and feelings themselves, or whether they're visualizing, you know, where they are now and where they're going to be, and, you know, the process and steps going through that, you know. So, you know, I guess it's always good to have, you know, going in and talking to them about that stuff, but then going in and giving them something to work with as well on that meditative state.
So you and me might chat more, because I've said I'll do like the welcome thing in the morning at 9:30 for a half an hour. And then at 10 a.m. we've got an hour and a half that I've allocated to do a bit more of an opening, welcoming, emotional release, bring stuff up, talk about what do you want to get out of the weekend. So there might be something more specific to that time zone that will work in with what you're feeling, because then we go into like 11:30, where if we're all going into the kitchen and really helping cut up everything before we have lunch, that's what's around you. And that's at the beginning. If it's at the Saturday, yeah, there's obviously something more specific that you can be doing because of that time frame as well. You and me can have a bit of a chat about what would work best.
Sounds perfect. I'm just going to mute because my little fella's decided to get up and he's on the toilet. So.
Did anyone get anything else?
I was thinking something both days, not being greedy, just spreading myself out. thinking before lunch, maybe on the Saturday, talking about mindfulness, because that will roll into lunch really, and eating.
Mhm.
I would like to do a brief chat on gratitude, but run it through the whole thing. So whether that means there's a jar with a pen and a post-it note pad where people can at any point in time write what they're grateful for when it comes to them and put it in the jar.
Nice.
Or a whiteboard, something where we keep track of, you don't need to know who said what, but it just builds the gratitude, I suppose, in the room, and the vibe is one of being grateful.
Nice.
And the only other thing, sounds like I'm being a hog, is a meditation that would be, so have a brief discussion on self-talk and how we talk to ourselves, and then do a meditation that takes you into your heart space, and then changing the self-talk, so making it a positive self-talk that you're saying to yourself that you recognize that you need to say more to yourself.
Awesome. I had you down for the Saturday 9:30 to 10:30 anyway. So did you do that second part on the Sunday morning? The heart.
Yeah. Wherever you think that's going to fit. I don't know whether that's going to fit probably morning, I suppose. It doesn't matter. It'll work either, because it'll be something they can take home with them if it's an afternoon thing and practice, or in the morning might help their day. I don't really know.
All right. Let's slot you in there for now. Beautiful.
Okay.
Thanks.
No problem.
What else did we get, ladies?
Ruby.
I got, a lot of confusion. So I'll get back to you tomorrow.
No problems.
Yeah, a lot of stuff started coming out. Oh, if I do it this time, people will be tired. They won't want anything to do with it. Blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, just don't think about it now.
Let the heart guide you later. The head's getting
Yeah,
involved.
it was.
All good.
So I just started listening to the sound of your voice and just trying to drop into my heart. So that was helpful. Thank you.
No problems. We'll work it out. Kimmy?
Indeed. So for me, I had a couple of things. My other big thing, whilst food is a part of what I do, mindset is another part of what I do, which I love. And what came up for me is perception.
Sorry, I'm laughing because that was the word I was going to, when I was talking about self-talk, I was going to say people's perception of themselves and everything around them, and it's how they talk to themselves. So it's just funny that we're in sync like that. It's all good.
And so potentially that doesn't mean that I necessarily need to do anything about that, but I would like that covered somewhere in the event, because I think that's really important.
Yep.
People's perception, I guess under that banner I put beliefs and limiting self-talk. The other thing that came up for me is self-image, and that is, how do we see ourselves? And if we're trying to do something different with our lives or get to a different level of awareness or success or whatever that is for everybody, then we need to see ourselves in a different way to be able to achieve that. We could, I could see myself as a runner, or I could see myself as a runner who completes a marathon. And in order to get to do a marathon, I need to become a different person. I need to do things differently to get there. And the first thing that can help me do that is to visualize that. So how do we see ourselves to be able to then achieve whatever that goal is that we want in our lives?
Nice.
So that's more of a mindfulness from an energetic vibration perspective. We're at different vibrational levels depending on where we are in our growth and awareness. And if we're wanting to expand, then we need to get to that different vibrational level. And so how can we shift to get there? And that's done, I guess, by using, you know, many of the other tools that the other ladies are able to share, the chakra clearings, the meditations, the visualizations. And I think it's, you know, I'd also like, it'll be great to give people an opportunity to say, you know what, actually allow your imagination to go where it wants to go, and write in this beautiful journal that you've got as part of this event, what is it that you want in this life? What do you truly want? Allow your imagination to go wherever it wants to go, because it's, again, as I say, everything comes from the imagination first, and we often prohibit ourselves from using the imagination because, well, you know, I can't get that. That's not possible. So we tell ourselves it's not possible before we even get to think about it. So I think being able to help people feel what that could be like, to actually allow their imagination to be free. What is it you truly want in your life? I think that would be a nice experience.
I think too, adding to that, like when you know what you want, I think you need to, like, or wanting to go move forward, you kind of need to know who you are too. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? A huge thing is, I found that most people come to you, they don't know who they are. They kind of stereotype themselves as to their age and what the job is. They don't know where their values are. They don't know, you know, they don't even know what the fight and flight triggers like are. So how they respond when they're, you know, they're overwhelmed, or love language, or, you know, are they introverted or extroverted when they, you know, gain their energy, and how they replenish their energy system. All these things, like when I went into this healing process, that was a huge part of me then being able to dissolve the society beliefs and crap and all the stuff, and then be able to work out really where's my vision moving forward, is because it's from who I am, what really resonates with inside of myself. And so many people don't really know that until they sort of start to stumble in it, but they're still confused and they don't stand strong in their energy because they haven't worked out what is actually a true value and what is something that's been programmed into them. So I think that's where, you know, we got to go into that, even just a subject of who are you? What's your essence? You know, what is your essence? And that's what I call it, is finding your essence again, who you are.
And I totally agree, because people set goals without knowing who they are, which is a way of not achieving the goal. Because, for example, if I set a goal for my head to say I'm going to build a 50-story building, but my value is conservation and environment, then it's going against my values to even contemplate that. So perhaps that's something that we could tap into early on the Saturday, so that that's a really good foundation of who am I, what are my values, what am I passionate about, what lights me up, what gets me out of bed, what am I driven by, and then perhaps even, because I look at 4 things, I look at skills, strengths, purpose and values. Sorry, passions and values. And with those 4 key components, we have a better understanding of who we are as an individual, to then be able to say, actually, you know what, I'm really passionate about this, and I've got strengths in this area, and my values are this, and I've got these skills. And if I combine all of those, then I can create a goal that's aligned to who I am, to then be able to get there. And so I wonder if that's one of the first things, is help people understand who they are.
Yeah, we'll have to have a flow of what leads into the next thing, definitely. Can I do a quick tangent and just find out what would be one thing that you would go and pay money to be at a retreat for? What would spark your attention to say, I need this, or I want to get this experience? What would one thing be if you were the attendee that made you go, I'm going to spend $300 on going to this 2-day event?
I would spend money to get out of there, to know who I am.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think the name coming home, is it what, coming home to yourself or whatever it is? If you think of what the name is, it seems to really derive from that. So, you know, yeah, I think we need to look at that is one of the core things, and whether we add the emotion stuff later, or, you know, so we can delete some of that and the beliefs. And yeah, I think that makes sense. It aligns to what it is. And you're right. If people don't know who they are, they can't vibrationally be aligned to attracting and bringing in what they want either in their lives.
Correct.
So, you know, you can do even a burning ritual where, you know, they do a meditation, write down all the things they want to then let go of, and then they create a new letter or focus, so they've got, you know, that ongoing thing to how to be consistent and what are they moving forward, and that kind of thing. Because I do that in my workshops as well, as, you know, what are we getting rid of and what are we bringing in, and who are we, you know, and that energy is one thing wrapped up. Yeah.
You could do that in a you could do that in a cacao ceremony as well.
But even
Capture
basic
what are the
stuff
things you wanna
that's
let go of.
that's more upbeat, like ask people what brings them joy. Something so simple. So
I
what
wouldn't
brings
have
joy?
known that 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And
But
I
explore
like-
it, not just ask the question, but lead them through exploring
yeah,
it. Like,
sorry,
you know,
yeah.
the feelings associated with it. You know, what is something you enjoy doing? If someone goes, I don't know, what is something you enjoy doing? Do you enjoy, you know, going for walks? Do you enjoy creating things? Do you, you know, and then like, well, how does it feel when you do those things? And just exploring it so they actually understand what it means. Because most people would feel it, they just don't realize they feel it.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't recognize that that's what it is that brings them joy, because they think it's got to be something monumental. And it really doesn't. It can be the most simplest things.
And that's so true, though, because, you know, when you don't know who you are, you really don't know what you're loving in life. So you don't sit there and actually focus. Once you started doing that, like, that's, to me, it's like pivoting. So when you get those moments that your energy's offline, you go into your heart space, and it can be the simplest, the littlest of things, you know, that you then start connecting, because those are aligning to who you are, you know, whether it's being outdoors or, you know, enjoying my kids' cuddles, or, you know, I find going to the beach or whatever. There's so many things.
Yep.
Even when I bought my house, I can just sit there and go now, going on and on and on and on, even watching a butterfly fly past. I'm like, oh, I just take that moment, you know. So, but I couldn't do that 18 months ago. I didn't know. And now, and so that's again another thing I teach in my thing, because people need that. They need to have that a moment. How do they pivot themselves? How do they step into the heart and align to that energy? And then they can raise their vibration to aligning themselves to what they want to bring in, where they're heading with their lives. Because if the vibration's low and they're not stepping into that heart space, like your vibrational heart sends out the biggest echoes to the universe, you know. So they need to know how to do that. And yeah, that's another huge part of finding themselves, coming home to who they are, is coming into the heart space, coming into the true essence of what they are.
Perfect. Nola, what was your thing that you would spend money to come to? Or Rubia, if you're thinking. A cacao ceremony?
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. The only thing I've spent money with that type of money in the last couple of years was ayahuasca. I know, right? I can't think of anything.
But why?
Anything.
So what drew you to that? Because you told me it was you felt pulled. So there's more than just the ayahuasca. Like you spent money probably for something underneath that. So what was that?
Okay. Well, there was how can I say it? There was a call. I felt like a calling. I was really connected to it. And I went back. I spent the money again and went back, because I just had this sense of community that I had never had before with the people there.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it was that we all understood each other. We all kind of spoke the same language. There was no judgment, and there was connection.
Perfect, because that...
So my partner started calling me and the phone went a bit crazy. Just put it on mute. Yeah, does that make sense? Does that answer the question? Yeah.
100%. That's perfect, because essentially the people that came to the event on Sunday, they would hopefully feel like they have connection with us, those that they spoke to or listened to. And we are building a community. So that's perfect, because essentially that's what we've gotten out of this experience as facilitators, is essentially what we want to bring the attendees into. And it's the same that applies for the retreat. So that is a perfect answer. Thank you. So that's still along the lines of what we're getting out of this and what we're trying to create as well. So thank you.
Yeah. And whatever issue I had at the time, whether it was drinking, relationship, anything that I had a full belief that I was going to come out of there with that issue either sorted out, or I was going to have a more clear vision of where to go, of how to, I was going to get out of there wiser and kind of not a better person, but wiser, and I would have learned something to take with me.
Perfect. I'm writing all that down.
So I'm hearing awareness, insights,
Clarity,
direction.
Yeah. Which I pretty much had. That's probably why I spoke about it so much. I wish I hadn't. That was one of the things I was thinking. I said I shouldn't have talked so much about it. But that's it helped me with everything that I wanted to.
Perfect.
And then we need to be, I think, mindful also of who are we targeting, what part of their journey are they going to be at.
yeah.
Because that's going to also dictate the content that we deliver. Because if you've got someone who's well along their journey, then the content is going to need to be different. So I think, do we need to then consider who are we targeting? Who is going to be the target market?
Yeah. So I guess essentially our title already is going to be such a big draw card with that coming home. Where are people at for them to know that the coming home is a desire, or the yearning to come back to themselves? Like, at what point are they on that journey for them to have that awareness and calling for them to? 3 of them have already purchased a ticket. So I guess it's at what stage would you think that people would be at? Because the coming home, to me, I don't know if they weren't words I used, but it was a sense of what I've been yearning and seeking this whole journey. So I think there's got to be some type of awareness for people to connect in with that coming home. Does that make sense? I don't think this is breakdown stage. I don't think these are people that are just like, oh, fuck, what do I do with myself? Oh, I need to come home to myself. Yeah, I don't think they're there. We're beyond that. They're a good year or 2 in their personal journey, still working it out. I feel like they've done a bit of, and maybe if you've said, ladies, that you didn't know the answer to this 12, 18 months ago. So was that your starting point, or are we halfway in between? That you've got a bit of knowledge, you've started studying something, you've started making some changes, but you're still, putting all the pieces together? I don't know.
I think it's hard because everybody's journey is different. I definitely think it's probably not a very beginning kind of thing, but I have a friend who is just becoming more aware of everything outside of herself. She's nearly finished her homeopathy degree, so she's already a bit left of centre, but she would love it. It's perfect for her from where she's at. But I think it's just difficult to know, because as we've all said before, we might have started on our journeys different ways. Like for me, it might have been health. For someone else, it might have been more spiritual. And then as you move along, you pick up the bit you didn't start with or whatever. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can probably go underneath that, because energetically where people are at is the core. So every single woman that walks into that retreat house on the Saturday, energetically, they're all at a similar place. Yep. Externally, they're all at a different place. We don't need to, I don't need to target the external situation. Yep. But the journey of where that at is not the beginning. At least we know it's not just the, oh God, where am I at? What am I doing? To me, it would be at least a year in, and they're studying, or they have studied a modality. They're finding their ways where they're implementing some new tools for them. but they're wanting to create a business, but they haven't got to that point yet. So like you said, if she's finishing studying or about to finish, or if someone's playing with the start of their business, they're still in the startup phase, I feel like that's still a transition that you ladies are still above because you're in business. So there's still got to be like, there's this middle road that we can be really supporting women to say, hey, you know, we're still at the beginning of our business journey, but we can support them to come up to start to run events and run retreats and do those things they want to be doing what we're doing, essentially. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So for us to be standing in front of them, we're the experts. Doesn't matter where we're at on our journey either. So essentially where they're at now is they want to be standing in front of people. They want to be getting paid to do what they love, but they're still going through whatever elements they are at in their personal journey. Does anyone feel like that's a something?
Yeah, so what I've just written down is you're aware there's more out there. You want more from life. You know you've got gifts to share.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be around the business stuff though. I think it's exactly that. Like, I think it's it's about really about, not everyone wants to, you know, or, but they know there's more out there. They know that they've got a bigger vision. How do they get into that? How do they find that vision? You know, when you
they want to be more.
Yeah, they want to be more. And how do you do that? You know, and there's so much, like, even when you start to, you know, I know when I started my visualization, it was very basic, my meditations, that kind of thing. And I guess it's learning some of those extra techniques, you know, like merging and stuff like that. When you do your visualization, like merging is not just visualizing the thing, it's becoming the thing, but not just becoming that thing, becoming everything around it. Because really, in the energetic sense, everything is connected, you know. So when we segregate things, it breaks down. But how do we raise your vibration to also attract more? Do you know what I mean? So I guess if you're going for someone that's more experienced, that's the kind of thing people are into. Are you going to go to that depth of giving people that kind of information that's not always out there and showing, you know, how do you get your vibration right up there? How do you really clear your mind to send those messages out, you know, into your heart space? Like, you know, whether you're bringing energy up here and then eventually pushing it down through your heart and sending it out, because your heart vibration's actually stronger than your third eye, or, you know, that kind of thing. Teaching them that, I don't know, I guess that's where you got to decide. But I think it really comes down to that they just want more. They know there's more. They want, you know, in their lives, and they want to find themselves and be able to work in that. So it could even be for them to be a humanitarian, or, you know, whatever it is that, you know, helping others and contributing and growth and whatever. It's really that, you know, to me.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm free to go with what the flow is.
We're narrowing, like, essentially we've got a big broad post on Facebook, and somehow that's connected to 3 women. So really, what have we already written and what have we energetically already put out there that's at least got 3 women to just like straight away spend $222? And that was, I don't even know if they were at the event. Let me have a look.
Sometimes it's not always the content word for word either. It's the feeling.
Well, exactly.
That draws people. So whether they, just like all of us, whether we get out of it what we thought we would, may be very different to what we did.
Well, exactly.
Same thing.
These ladies didn't come to the event from what I'm looking at.
I think it's extremely affordable for the hours, you know, the length of the day. Most of the workshops, I know, they're 2 days. It's sort of like a 9 till 4 or something, you know, over 2 days. It's quite a long day, you know, you put in there a lot of things. So it's a very affordable thing. So, you know, I probably would look at jumping at something like that myself. So.
Okay.
And community.
I have to go too. Sorry.
One thing we always talk about amongst us all was that community, like gaining that network.
Yes, community.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you, Nola.
No worries.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Yes, I think that's one thing we've all said, and I guess we can be utilizing what we've gotten out of each other, really, because that's our energy. That's what's being put out there. The fact that we've come together and we're just loving our connection and community, to me, that's the powerful energy that we've already created. Why people would be paying straight away before we've gotten any clarity on what we're actually doing. energetically look at the power that we've had just all coming together. So I think they're the key points that we've all mentioned.
Well, I
at
think
least.
most women want that though, but without even knowing it. Like a lot of women, you know, kind of don't feel they have that strong community, or are, you know, when they go into this journey, it's, you know, they're very solo and they'll make a few friends. It takes a while, but I think it's also, you know, finding yourself and then realizing that people don't align with you and you hold on to that. So, but I don't know whether you put that in there looking for a community, because everyone there, you know, some are introverted and going to be sitting there quietly in a corner and just taking it in. So, but I love the idea that we could maybe allow people to connect with others and hopefully make friends and gain that support as well.
For sure. Perfect.
And I think the statement of what WeFest stands for talks to that community.
For sure.
That, you know, I think that's covered in that. I think, for me, the focus is more about the outcomes. What are the pain points and benefits? What are people coming in with? What are they looking for? And then what are they going to leave with? And the community is just the bonus of WeFest.
So I've written down from what everyone was saying before is, I guess, is their pain points, that they're aware that there's more out there. They've got gifts to share, but it's sort of, they're not sure what to do with it, or it's still sort of within them, knowing that they've got something to offer the world, but that's still as far as they've gotten. Looking to raise your vibration, they're to me, they're big words that really do spark people's attention. And knowing that there is still a disconnect, you know, it doesn't matter where they're at on this journey, you still know that there's something missing. That's what keeps us moving and still doing the work. They're essentially pain points. Is there anything else that you think would be really speaking to them in terms of pain points?
Is it a feeling of disconnect? No, disconnect's too strong, I think. A feeling of, I want to say imbalance. It's a feeling of, you know what, there's something just not quite right. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm looking for something. But
Like it's
and I don't know what I'm looking for, but I'm feeling this, something's just not right. I'm not whole. I'm a little lost. I'm looking for something. I don't know what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I think the not whole, like who actually feels whole. And, well, isolation, I think, is big for us women in a lot of different senses.
And so then what's just come to my mind is I don't have to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't know where that came from, but that's just what came to my mind.
Yeah.
So for me, I was in corporate for 30 years, black and white world. I couldn't have conversations with those people in my workplace because they were so vastly different and just didn't get it, weren't aware. So I had to look outside of that network, I guess, to find others, and that was a challenge for me.
Okay. This is good. I think we're just getting probably more clear energetically than anything. I'm not necessarily changing the copy of the Facebook event.
No. But it's that clarity that'll enable us to have our visualization stronger and have us align what we're going to contribute to have the outcome of what we can to support these women.
And let's finish up, but let's almost put a bit of a flow. So how we created WeFest was, to me, talking about the pathway to empowerment started with your personal health journey, before you got to your spiritual journey, before you got to your business and wealth journey. So is there a pathway within 2 days is we're going to do more, let's say, simple opening up bringing stuff to the surface at the beginning before we're going to do clearing, you know, things like that. There's going to be stuff that's just going to happen in an order. What are we getting?
What I'm getting is what I'm getting is, do we want to be careful of how much we deliver in this first one, because we still want them to come to the second, or do we still want them to come to the second WeFest event? In which case, is this just, you know, do we then do WeFest event retreat, WeFest event retreat, WeFest event retreat, and then festival, in which case then we don't want to get them too far along their journey during this 2-day event, then they don't come to the WeFest second and third event to then come to the festival, because it's a complete journey. And so then do we focus this retreat more around who am I, our health, and that being energetically, nutrition, movement, blah blah blah, whatever, but more about that, still carrying that theme of health, coming home. And yes, we tap into a little bit around you know, all the richness that everyone's talked about, but don't take them too far that they then don't want to come to the second event and the third event.
Perfect. And I think that's just, not that they wouldn't want to, or not that they would even know what's happening at the next events, but that's the perfect in between. So between two events, there's a retreat. And yes, exactly. That's brilliant, because what they've gotten, there's a taste tester and little bits from the event really, is retreat is then more intimate. All right, let's draw them in and say, let's go deeper in touching on health, mental, emotional, physical, whether we divide that up, because then the spiritual event is then opening up the spiritual before we go into the retreat where it gets intimate. That is amazing.
Boom.
I like when things just slot into place.
Ooh, yay.
Nice one. Thank you. So we just go deeper into what we were, I guess, sharing and showcasing on Sunday. And we can change it up a bit. Obviously, the stall holders, you had a few different things. And maybe we get more specific, and that can be our next conversation. But yeah, perfect that it slots in between the health journey and the spiritual journey, and how do we take them to that next level. So they're aware of health and mindset and emotions and all this stuff, but they're still working through it before they're ready to go deeper.
And then the 2-day event leading them into the spiritual component. So towards the latter end of the 2-day event, you're moving into that spiritual stuff, which then gets them excited about the next WeFest event, which then gets them more excited about the next 2-day event, because then that's going to go deeper, and they've already got so much out of this one. There's a little bit of, and it's all scheduled with enough time for them to have integration into their life, embedding, getting used to. Well, I learned so much, now I can embed it, I can change it, I can integrate things into my life. And then, okay, we come again and we do another bit. And then we come again and another bit.
Perfect, perfect, perfect.
It's a journey.
It is a journey.
Can I just ask, Rubia, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
If everything for the cacao ceremony was organised and all you needed to do was to turn up, would that work for you?
Oh, I have to think about that. I hadn't thought about that option.
So if the ceremonial cacao was there provided, and there's different types of cacao ceremonies that you can do. There's a huge spectrum. You could get a full out and do massive, with a whole bunch of different things, or you could just do a more basic ceremony which doesn't require 24 hours preparation, but here's some ceremonial cacao and we'll mix it with hot water, and it's the intention that really will allow us to go through And so then if we weren't trying to make it the top of the line, full blown cacao ceremony, would you feel more comfortable if it was at the not lower end but the lesser end of the spectrum, to be able to say, you know what, it maybe doesn't, for this event, doesn't need the full blown high end cacao ceremony, but just something in the middle? And if the cacao was there and you just turned up and did the guiding through that cacao ceremony, would that work for you?
As you were,
you don't.
I think it's a combination of things, because when Tammy helped us to drop in, and I was trying to drop in, I had, okay, I can see myself doing at the end of the day. I was like, oh no, shit, they have worked through a lot of stuff during the day, and maybe they won't want to do cacao. So maybe we could do the last thing on the Sunday. Oh no, everybody just wants to go home on the Sunday once they're finished, and they're going to be tired. And then it's just, there's a little bit of confusion involving a few things, I think.
Because I think with a cacao ceremony, because it is what it is, at the end of the day, if you're doing it, in my understanding, a cacao ceremony, you wouldn't be able to sleep so easily afterwards, because stimulated a whole bunch of stuff that you're then going to want to process, sit with, whatever. So then potentially, could it be done after lunch maybe, to then have an afternoon of, reflection? Do you then schedule it in so that there's a cacao ceremony after lunch and there's things that come up? There's then allocating time for reflection, to sit quietly. They've had lunch, they've done a cacao ceremony, and then there's, like I say, time to sit quietly and journal and ponder whatever has come up. And then later in the day, do another workshop maybe, or...
Yeah, with the cacao, you're meant to fast for a few hours, or at least a couple of hours. So it could be a mid-afternoon thing.
And so that's why I'm thinking, does it need to be that extent of cacao ceremony, or could we bring it back a little bit to be able to say, let's do it as it is? We could do it first thing when they get there, potentially on the Sunday. So they've already had the Saturday with us. They've travelled a bit of a journey. They come in on the Sunday, and the first off with a cacao ceremony, potentially, if you're particularly focused on the fasting. I've done before, and I haven't fasted. And it was
you have? Yeah, no, you don't have to. Some people will just recommend that you fast a couple of hours if you can. But even last time, I think I ate not long before I went, because I was really hungry. But because you ladies were talking about the connection with the heart, so there's this thing that it actually helps you to connect with your heart, with the cacao. So I will see. I'll think about that. I'm going to get back to Tammy tomorrow with a response. But that could be an option. Did you say 24 hours? Does it have to be cooked for 24 hours before for a full ceremony?
I'm not sure from a full ceremony, and that's where I'm thinking, how do we find where we're at on the spectrum? Because everything's on a spectrum. Do we want to go, it has to be cooked for 24 hours, and you have to fast, and you have to do this, and you have to stand on your head for 10 minutes, and you have to turn around clockwise 20 times? Or do we want to say, know what, come back to this point and say, we've got some ceremonial cacao, let's prepare it in a way, because it's all about intention.
Yeah.
And the reality is, if we have ceremonial cacao and we have intention, then it's going to be an experience for people that will bring them some gifts, no matter where it is on the spectrum.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we keep it simple.
Because people potentially at this part of the journey aren't going to have any clue what a cacao ceremony is anyway. They're not going to know that, you're supposed to fast for 18 hours and cook it for 24.
I don't think, I think the cooking is pretty easy. I think you can cook, like I can cook it at home and then bring it over and then just heat it up kind of thing. I don't think it's too complex from what I know, from what I've heard.
Well, I've got some due to arrive in the next week or so I'll have a look at when that arrives in. But from what I understand, it doesn't need to be that complex. It can be.
No, it can
I've
be
done the
very,
cacao ceremony that I did with just plain cacao. I didn't fast. It was delicious. I did get a lot out of it.
yeah, I was the same. It was really easy, simple. They said fast for a few hours if you can, but there was no complications. Yeah.
Yeah, I did one as well. Actually, it was at the spiritual church, and they did it on the Easter weekend. So they had a lady come in and do it there, and they didn't of course, didn't put that prerequisite or whatever of fasting and that. The only thing I noticed that because I never had cacao, and I don't really drink coffee or anything that gives that, it actually sent my heart racing, like I was buzzing. Yeah. And then they tried to do, a meditation and a healing, and my body was in this like buzzing stage, it was like I was on some sort of a drug, you know what I mean? So sitting down and meditating, my heart, my energy, my blood was rushing, so I don't know if that's a normal effect. I don't know, but that was what was going on for me. So for me to go into a meditation and try and heal straight away, it's like my energy was rushing through me too fast. So that's,
I'm the same.
For positioning.
I'm sensitive to caffeine. Like there's a very small amount of caffeine, but I get a high from it. So last time I went, it was a tantra dance thing. So I was dancing all night. I was able to sleep. But the night that I drank and I did yoga afterwards, I probably slept for about 2 or 3 hours. I was on a high. So I think we have to take into consideration if you're really doing the cacao, that it could actually affect some people's process throughout the day if you did do it in the morning, because then people are going to be trying to be concentrating on the meditations, healing, whatever. But if you did it at night, they may have some issues to sleep. But I feel that if it's to be done, it would be a kind of a late afternoon thing, for the reason that some people might get too hyped up about it.
Well, then they're not going to be able to sleep though, so that's not going to work.
Well, we put it
so I
down.
think we need to.
But then it depends on the person. It usually happens to people like Kelly and I that don't drink coffee and are very sensitive to.
Well, I'll let you know when I drink it, because I don't drink coffee. I haven't drunk caffeine for I don't know how long. I've never drunk coffee. So
have you had cacao before?
I've had cacao before, yeah.
How did you go? It didn't affect you?
No. But I've got the ceremonial cacao coming, which is a different quality. But if it's going to be this complex, then maybe we take it out of the...
Yeah.
And to me, it would be something great with embodiment, like movement. You know what I mean?
So and I was thinking
people are like moving their body, and like if they're doing that healing or letting go, or
definitely
being in the moment and connecting with themselves, I think that allows that energy. Because the buzz didn't last a huge amount of time, but there was definitely that buzz that I wasn't a moment that I needed to be sitting still in that space. If I was going to be in that space, I need to be using that energy to connect in myself in a different way, because that's the way it made me feel. And I think that maybe that's a great way to do it, because women do, whether we're closing our eyes, we're listening to music, or, like through yoga, when they flick their hands and we're throwing the emotion and bringing the energy up, or something like that, because embodiment is a whole process about letting go and healing, or owning yourself. Do you know what I mean? And being in a group. So that can be a really powerful experience, I think, to some people is having that embodiment, because I know, like when I've done Tantra as well, that's a huge part of it, is learning to, when we're expressing ourselves, we kind of really hold a lot of that in instead of really letting that out. So can we bring that into it in that sense, that we've gone in, led them into releasing or letting go or whatever, give them that, and then let them feel whatever they need to, if they need to yell, or if they need to, dance. I think that's perfect.
Yeah, we
I
wrote
like that.
Yeah, we put it down for sunset cacao ceremony at like 5. So I put it down like the last time we spoke from like 5 till 7, and then our closing ceremony can be at 7, and it can be, let's make it the physical movement, make it the embodiment. We wrote embodiment in the Facebook event, so they're expecting something that's of some description of embodiment. But yeah, the physical movement, the dance, they being able to then release all of that energy that it's going to bring up, or anything that it brings up, that it will need to be allowing them to release it before they then drive anywhere or go anywhere or do anything, which everything would have. We have to somehow cap it off on that first night for them to be able to drive home. So I definitely think that movement, that physical body movement, has to play a big role to be able to release any of that energy. So we'll add that in for the evening.
And did you guys
I think that would be amazing. Guys, ladies, I'm so sorry. I need to go because my boyfriend's been waiting for me for the past hour.
Yep.
Oh, say hello to Lee for me.
I will do. I will watch the end of the recording. But what you said, it's amazing about the movement. I think that's perfect. Cacao movement, perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, ladies, I'll chat to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
I was thinking then, just for, I guess, the experience, I was thinking lunch, cacao, movement, and then something more calming to send them on their way.
Okay.
I like the idea that we're setting them home on, not on a high, but on this, like, you know, I've been and done a few different things where they really bring you into that emotion, and you leave feeling so empowered. And, you know, we maybe don't want them going out the door like buzzing, but do you know what I mean? Does that gives them that, like, yes, I'm excited for what tomorrow is going to bring, or you know, but you know, I guess we also got to bring them into that place of, you know, what kind of embodiment do we teach them? You know, like, is it that if you feel you need to punch a pillow, and we could let them know that we use soft eyes with those around us, or we dim the lights, or so even if it is, as you said, doing a 5-ish o'clock because it's getting night, you know, we can turn on some lamps or whatever so people feel a bit more comfortable. If there's noise, we let people be in that space, you know, what kind of music do we want to set around that? Is it so people can dance and just feel in the energy, or because you know, it's just giving people that option of going with whatever, I think. So I like it, I really do. And but I don't know, throwing ideas around there, but I definitely know that the cacao sent me, like, and when I heard Rubia saying that she'd done it with the tantra, I was like, oh, that would have been awesome, because I've done a lot of tantra stuff as well, and that would have been perfect. Not so much in a healing type moment. Sit still and meditate. I was like, this is not working.
Okay.
And I think if you've been buzzing too and doing all that stuff, are you really going to want to sit down and meditate? How hard is it going to be for people to drop into that space?
I wasn't really saying meditate. My thinking was not necessarily meditation, but not sending them away buzzing.
No, we definitely want to burn that energy out.
So maybe it can be a little bit earlier, so it is not right after lunch, but it's the next session. That way it can be the cacao in the like late afternoon into the movement embodiment, like have a break, whatever people need then, and then have a closing something. So it's the energy is risen, because after lunch it's going to start dying anyway, so something has to, like they did on Sunday, there's going to be something that has to pick them back up after lunch. So there might be a bit of a wave that we can work in there. We can still play that out, but I think we're getting pretty clear on where to pop everything in, which is good.
And I think, I mean, even after lunch, do you just do a small segment on what is embodiment, like, so that when we go into cacao, then we're not stopping and go, okay, this is embodiment, bring that in and teach people, okay, you know, like feeling anger, you know, you don't just tap a pillow, or, you know, how do we flick our hands and showing people, or how do we move through our feelings, you know, like some people, I know when I get a lot of healings, I get a lot of women that come in and really need to move their body, you know, and part of their healing processes is a natural way. So teaching people how to use their body as part of their healing, because it is so much out there is about, like, okay, mind and thoughts and, you know, energy healing and all this, but I find that energy healing with the embodiment really brings power into that, because it's like the energy being with the physical, so we're combining the two together.
Totally perfect. I love it. Well, I feel like I've almost put down the first day. I'm popping all these things in at different times. It will just flow pretty easily. I think we've opened up quite a lot of conversation, and we can see what the others, when they watch this recording, what they get, and that can sort of slot in. But we're getting really clear, like the fact that we're slotting this in between the events just becomes so clear on where they're at in their journey, who they are, how we've already connected with them. This can be going out to the email list of these people that I've done nothing with yet. You know, there's ways to be able to connect in and bring them on that next stage of their journey. I think that's really, really amazing clarity. So thank you, ladies.
That's great. Yay. Well done.
Anything
I love
else?
it because like one person speaks one thing and it kind of goes, oh, it brings me into this space, and then it's sort of like we're rolling off each other, you know what I mean? So and crazy enough, it's funny, at the beginning of all of this, when you guys started talking about the who are we, that was something I thought of originally, and then when we were in that space, it was like the emotional stuff. But then it was like after you guys started saying, I was like, that was something that first came up with me before I even dropped in. So that was just an intuitive thing that dropped in, but I hadn't even thought about it as we were, you know. So obviously that's a big thing, you know, for this.
Yeah, perfect.
I think it is. There's not so many people out there that don't know who they are.
No, most people don't.
And I don't know whether, like I said, again, I'm kind of thinking that there's some of these subjects that whether we look at, do we co-host, you know, bring them together, or, you know, as I said, if there's people that can, because I love the idea that when, it's like someone can explain something one way and then another comes in and gives another example of that, and it just drops in, you know. I know in years coming along, I've heard things so many times, and one day somebody else says it and I'm like, now I get what that is, you know. And so sometimes having that duality of perspectives, or two people, will help people so much more, because people will resonate with one person over the other naturally, you know. And so someone might like me, but then someone might love Kim, and that way then we're getting the whole group. Do you know what I mean? So we need to look at where all of us have got abilities and see whether we can not just say, okay, she's that hour. Okay, can we co-host?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll leave us all with this question. What's your favorite thing to facilitate? What's your favorite question, conversation, healing, workshop? What's the most enjoyment you've ever had out of facilitating a service? And let's start with that and see where there's alignment, where there's connection, where there's some way where you do your own, or some of us join forces. Maybe that can start off our next conversation.
Okay.
I think one of the things that comes to my mind is around the universal law of polarity.
Yes, I love it.
There's positives and negatives in everything, and we just don't see them. We're blinded by the downside, infatuated by the upside, and we just don't see, you know, those words, Tammy.
And
those are Martini words.
But it's, and that itself, but bringing them back to the middle, where there's that detachment and acceptance, is the heart. So, you know, understanding the duality, like anyone that gets that there's dualities, it's good and bad and everything, then bringing them back into that middle place, which is really our heart space, acceptance, detachment.
And so for me, when I was with my autoimmune disease, the moment that I could see what the benefit was, it shifted my whole healing journey. And so if someone is experiencing poor health, then to help them understand what are they getting out of it is a powerful perception. And if we can help them shift a perception, and I appreciate I'm focusing on someone who is experiencing illness, but illness is discomfort, illness is imbalance, illness can be whatever you want it to be. But the reality is we're all, so there's, for me, it's about that universal law of polarity. It's about the stories we tell ourselves. They're all just stories. So how can we help people let it go? and it is freaking hard when you're in it.
Totally.
And so how can we help people realize that, you know what, it's okay to let it go?
It's all the stuff I teach in my B3 workshop, the polarities, the stories. I love it because it was a huge part of my healing process, understanding all those things, who I am, the polarities in life, what I got out of the shit situations, acceptance, you know, yeah. But for me now, I feel like it's like that whole true essence, finding our true essence. And even knowing we find ourselves, it takes us a little while to even get right into that whole heart space. And still, you know, we still default out of that, you know, because we've been doing it for so long, you know. So it's our essence. Evolving is a huge one. Like, I love to see people evolving. So as you said, this is the whole journey is about watching people evolve from one space into the next space. And, you know, if they go into this, they'll go into that next one ready for that next step, you know, and take pieces out of it.
It's the peeling back the layers. It's very rare that you will have someone who, in a group situation, will drop all layers all at once. And so it's about peeling back the layers. I know for me, there was, you know, as I traveled through my journey, I'd let go of a little bit of that story and I'd let go a little bit of that story. And then I got to a place of, oh my gosh, I don't have that story anymore. Oh, that's great. And, you know, the stories that are all banked up eventually just get chipped away.
And for me, well, through that process too, like when I did that, I thought, oh yeah, I got rid of a lot. And then bang, I got hit with something else. And I was like, okay, what's this? And why is this story popped up? So I knew there was something there. That was the flag there was something else I needed to work on. But it was like, awesome, ready to take this on. I remember in the beginning, it all used to scare me a little bit. And once I realized what it did for me to peel off those layers, I actually get excited when I go, I caught you. Okay, there's another one, you know, because 40 years of doing this, there's always more layers. There's not, you know, you can't say you're going to drop all of them at once, because you're going to kind of go, oh, shit, I didn't even realize that was there. Why am I doing that in such a way, you know? But yeah, to get to that, we need to know who we are and you know, understand the universal laws, you know, that's like the basic 101s that I share at the beginning of my workshops.
Yeah. It's very hard for people to accept if they're not in that space. We're lucky in that we're attracting people who are open to that, but it'll be good. But I think,
I think we got to make sure we bring that into the workshop too, is that polarities, the dualities,
the stories, the beliefs.
The stories. A story is only a story. It's really not. It's just the mind covering up for whatever is hidden underneath. Really, it's, you know, like truly feeling the emotion or it's, to me, what I call the flag. It's like the flag. It's So how do we quiet that mind as well? You know, simple techniques to bringing in. Breath's great, but I love feather touch out of Tantra. I showed that to Rubia the other day because it was something you can use at any minute of the day, and it brings self-love to your body so quickly, you know. So how do we give people simple things that they can use and implement them, you know, because there's thousands of techniques to clear the mind, but a lot of them you couldn't use in the middle of a shopping center.
Correct.
Yeah, so that's where I love if we can bring in and making it, I think too, to me, it's like, okay, I'm a busy mom and all these things. I need things that are simple and work. Like, why complicate it? I mean, it's information overload, but if we keep it simple and people learn to trust in that changes everything, because we get so complex in it. If people get overwhelmed to go, oh, I don't know, I can do this. Can we keep it down to that real basics, you know?
And that's why we offer them the experience, because we're not teaching them anything. We're not overloading them with information. They're actually experiencing it because we're walking them through it. So that's the big difference, and will have a bigger effect at the retreat, because everything's interactive, really, essentially. So they are getting that awareness and feeling those shifts in that moment, rather than having to then process it or think about it or go home and do something. We're here, you know, guiding them through that, so they're going to get all of that information in that moment without getting overwhelmed. This is good. I feel like I've got the first day flows really beautifully, because essentially we do start with the mind before we can crack open all the layers that's going on inside us to then come back up again. So the pathway in itself within the 2 days feels like it's getting really, really clear, which is beautiful.
Love it
And
when the plan unfolds.
Yeah, I do too. And I love if it's interactive because like we're using it, physically doing it, you know, and it makes us feel part of it on that day, you know what I mean? And people will remember it. I think if we write things down, yes, you get a lot from that, but when you physically do it, it's like when someone tells you something and you go, yeah, okay, you listen. But if you can't actually recite that back to someone, you actually haven't absorbed it really. So, you know, it's like that replay. Like, how do we make people do that replay on the day so that they've taken it on?
Totally. Yeah. And that's how we provide like real transformation and depth, because they're experiencing it then and there. We're guiding them through that process, whatever it ends up being. That's what really supports people in making, and it's gentle changes as well. It can be rapid transformation. That doesn't mean it's full on or hectic. It can actually just be, holy shit, I've just dumped a lot of stuff today and now I don't have back pain ever again. You know, whatever that thing will be. We have that power, and it can be so simple and so beautiful when we are making it interactive experiences. That to me is key in anything that we do. That's how we provide depth. And the retreat will be great at that.
Yay.
Lovely, ladies. Thank you.
Love it. Love it.
So, make sure you just send me your event VIP stuff and links.
Yes.
And I'll get that up tomorrow, and then we can move on and get into the retreat again, and we'll just chat again. I'll finalize who wants to be a part of it next Friday, so then maybe we can have a chat like at the start of July, which means we'll be 3 weeks out. So we know that there's 10 of us, there's 8 of us, there's however many, and then we can get really, I guess, nutted out of how we want to slot in, how we can work together, or what sessions we want to outline, and get a bit more clarity that way if that suits.
Yeah.
And the VIP stuff for me, it's just the price is for what I was offering on the day.
Yeah, perfect. Is there a link for that?
Well, I haven't got anything I didn't have it advertised on my page, so.
Because what they're going to see is your face on the VIP website page, to click on your face to see whatever your promotion is.
Can you just do a one pager? A PDF one pager of the brand and WeFest promotion with the WeFest logo on it.
How would they book in to get that discount from you?
They'd have to contact me.
Call you.
I don't have a QT or any of that stuff. I'm still diary based.
So, but Kelly, they could call you if you did a one pager. They click on your face and it opens up the one page, and it's got your brand, WeFest, promotion, you know, VIP specialist, blah. Phone me to book and mention this code, and your code could be simply the date backwards. So 20190616, whatever, but have some sort of a code that's going to indicate to you that that's where they've come from as well.